The PNM ship has imploded, and now the darkness is being dragged into the light. The attached image captures something far more significant than another internal political quarrel inside the People's National Movement. It represents the moment when the walls of political silence begin to crack, and when allegations that might once have been handled behind closed doors are now spilling into public view. The PNM ship has imploded. And perhaps the most damaging part of this implosion is that the questions are no longer coming primarily from political opponents. They are coming from inside the PNM itself. San Fernando East MP Brian Manning has publicly raised concerns about governance, conflicts of interest, state contracts, and the need for independent scrutiny within his own constituency organization. Importantly, Manning himself has said he is not accusing individuals of guilt. He has called instead for transparency, accountability, and an investigation that party members can trust. That distinction matters. But politically, the implications are enormous. When your own MP starts asking questions. For years, the PNM has presented itself as the guardian of accountability and good governance while attacking opponents whenever allegations of corruption or improper conduct surfaced. Now, the questions are coming from within the PNM family. And that changes the political equation. Recent reporting has also documented serious concerns surrounding CPEP, including questions about procurement, accountability, and contracts awarded to companies connected to PNM figures and activists. The Trinidad Guardian reported that more than $6.5 billion was allocated to CPEP between 2009 and 2023 and highlighted audit and procurement concerns, including millions of dollars in contracts involving companies linked to PNM figures. Those facts demand investigation, not political spin. You cannot defend in the light what you did in the dark. This is where the PNM's current predicament becomes politically devastating. When political parties operate behind closed doors, they can control the narrative. They can discipline dissenters. They can tell supporters that everything is under control. They can accuse critics of political persecution. But once the allegations emerge from inside the party, the old strategy becomes much harder to sustain. The public is entitled to ask, what exactly happened? Who benefited? What contracts were awarded? Who approved them? Were conflicts of interest properly declared? Were procurement rules followed? And were political connections relevant to who received state-funded opportunities? Those are not UNC questions. Those are questions about public money and public accountability. And taxpayers have every right to demand answers. CPEP cannot become a political shield. The historical record also demonstrates that CPEP has been the subject of accountability concerns for years. A parliamentary motion in 2007 cited inadequate procedures and documentation in contractor selection, weaknesses in financial management, and failures of transparency and accountability. So this is not simply a controversy manufactured yesterday. The issue is whether Trinidad and Tobago has finally reached the point where the entire system of political contracting must be placed under serious independent scrutiny. If wrongdoing occurred, investigate it. If contracts were legitimate, produce the documentation and demonstrate it. If there were conflicts of interest, explain them. If there was no wrongdoing, the people deserve evidence that clears those involved. That is what accountability looks like. The PNM's biggest problem may not be the UNC. The PNM's greatest political problem today may not be what the UNC is saying about it. It may be what PNM members are saying about the PNM. When an elected PNM MP publicly calls for greater transparency and independent oversight, when internal disputes become national news, and when party executives and elected representatives openly clash, the image of a disciplined political machine begins to disappear. What the public sees instead is a party struggling to control its own internal contradictions. And that is why the image of the PNM ship is so appropriate. The ship is not merely taking on water from an external attack. The hull is cracking from within. The era of trust us is over. The people of Trinidad and Tobago should not be asked to simply trust politicians, especially the PNM or anyone else. They should demand documentation. They should demand audits. They should demand procurement records. They should demand declarations of interest. They should demand independent investigations where credible questions arise. And they should demand that political loyalty never become a substitute for accountability. The The PNM cannot reasonably demand transparency from others while resisting transparency within its own ranks. WZYE-TV's bottom line. The most revealing aspect of this controversy is not the political insults, the WhatsApp battles, or the internal PNM warfare. It is the question underneath all of it. Who is really benefiting from the system of state contracts? And was political access part of the equation? Those questions must be answered with evidence, not propaganda. Because the days when politicians could allegedly do things behind closed doors and then simply tell the public everything was fine are disappearing. The doors are open. The documents are being examined. The questions are coming from inside the House. And now, whether the PNM likes it or not, what was once kept in the darkness is being dragged into the light. The PNM ship has not merely sprung a leak. It has suffered an internal implosion, and the public is watching to see who will finally tell the truth about what happened below deck. This is WZYE-TV. The people deserve the facts. The taxpayers deserve accountability. And nobody, no political party, no politician, no contractor, is above scrutiny. WZYE-TV, Caribbean News, no filter, no fear.